Okay. Thank you all for joining so much. Um, we have some streaming in from multiple outlets, and we want to get started so that we can provide you with the maximum amount of value for this course. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you want to join us, if you want to, if you're having any technical issues, you can send an email to the email that's in the Eventbrite, and someone will be able to help you get in, help you get connected. I'll start right away by asking if you have received already your ebook, your workbook course for this course. The name of it is What Makes You Different. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. What makes you different as an individual, as a brand. And we wanted to take this time to go around and make sure that you're set up so that we can go into this deep discussion of what makes you different. We can go into this dialogue turned, you come out of it with this deliverable so that we could get the maximum amount of effort. So we're going to spend about maybe now about 13 minutes making sure that you're set up. So if you don't already have Trello, that's spelled Trello. Trello is a web-based application that will allow you, it's for planning. And so at a point in this session, I will take you to Trello and demonstrate how it can be helpful to your planning and organizing, and trying, as you determine who your customer is, as you determine your brand story, you may decide to roll it out different ways for different client base, for example. And if you do, Trello would be a great resource for that. That means you take your single mom persona and you would put her in the Trello board and put her on a path. And then you would take your family persona and put them on the path as well. And the goal is to come out of it with high insight, a vision for yourself, your company, and your employees, and just overall direction and focus and what it is you're trying to do, these efforts that you're trying to do in building this business. So make sure you have Trello set up. If you don't, if you should be able to, it's free. You should be able to set it up using your Google account. If you don't have Google, you can use any, your email address, your Facebook. It just takes a half a second longer to actually set that up. So if you have issues, again, just communicate with us. I don't think people are muted, so you can use the chat. You can use different ways to kind of let us know if you're having some issues with that. So then we have Miro. And Miro is a application, again, a web-based application that is a whiteboard. It's essentially a whiteboard. So I know sometimes when I'm working with clients, I wish that we were in the same space now that we're in this virtual world, so that I could, put things on the wall and move this over there, because that doesn't belong in that category anymore. It belongs over here. And not being able to do that because we aren't in the same place, Miro is a great alternative. It has sticky notes. It's a really large whiteboard. It even has the functionality from Trello, which you call a Kanban board, in it. And I'll explain what that is very shortly. The reason why you would have both is because Miro does whiteboarding the best and Trello does Kanban boards the best. If you want to minimize your accounts, you can create a Miro and get both. But you'll see me using Trello, and I'll show you where the functionality is in Miro if you want to use that one. And then lastly, you want to open up a UX Pressia account, UXPRESSIA. So when you are developing an application, when you are launching a business, when you are doing anything that requires other people, one of the big responses that I always get back from people when I ask who is your customer is everyone is my customer. So I want to help you create personas that will allow you to really delineate between your different customer bases. So when I talked about how we'll use Trello to highlight the different paths for your different customers, we're going to actually use Expressia to outline the personas. And I'll take you there later on in the session. So 3 accounts you want to open. If you can and you don't mind and you want to get the most value out of this, that's Trello, Trello, Miro, Miro, and UX Pressia. All very easy to navigate, all free. with some limitations, but if you're using it on a heightened level, hopefully it will provide enough value that you decide whether or not you want to invest. So let's move on. So I want you all to ask, if you have your workbook with you, the first question that I like to start with is your name, your business, and what is new for you to discover around branding. So I'm going to share my screen in just a second here so that you can see where I'm coming from and where I am in the book. And I love that Zoom will allow you to share just the screen you want to share, so you don't see how many windows I actually have open when I'm navigating the internet. So what is new for you to discover around branding? This should be about page 2 of your workbook. So if you'll take a minute to put that in, what is new for you to discover around branding? Okay, I'm not sure if there are some folks in the clubhouse and there's some folks from other media. I'm not, I may not call you to ask you if you're in some way that you can communicate it, if you want to email it, if you want to message it to me. I want you to ask yourself, what's new for you to discover around branding? I can start with myself. So my name is Ebony Kenny. My business is Ripe Fruit Creative. And what's new for me to discover around branding is what would make people interested in it? What would make people study it? There is a lot of using the word branding throughout the industry, and it's good because it keeps the idea of it alive. And I just want to know what would make people want to dig deeper into it, because it works. I genuinely believe it works. I've seen it work, and it's something that I practice. So branding, if I had to describe it and put it into terms for everyone to digest very easily so you can see my positioning on it. Branding is creating the story of your business and then letting that story be pervasive throughout all of your communications with your clients, everything you do, every room you go in, every conversation you have would be seasoned with this story. And it helps you pick one position to stand from. Now, what we're doing here today is picking a position that isn't limiting in any way and isn't about you minimizing access. So many people had a transition concern when we went to very heavily social media and when we went, very digital, and especially since the quarantine, because they didn't feel comfortable telling so much about themselves in a digital space. Their approach probably has been, let me just stay private, keep my personal self private. But we're now in the world that people want to know who they're doing business with. They want to know who's the company behind the brand. And it matters. There is a lot that has gone on in the media and abroad and internationally and domestically. And when there are certain positions and stories and commentary that comes out from the people who run the organization, there is sometimes people will separate. They will lose contracts. You all heard of cancel culture. So, you want to make sure you know the brand of the story. You want to make sure you know the personality of the company so that you can align with a company that represents who you are. Because yes, you want quality products. We're assuming that the products are quality. And if they aren't, we can touch on what that means. If you aren't coming from a position of quality, you're coming from a position of convenience. You're not coming from convenience, you're coming from community. It just so happens they all start with C. That's all fine. Don't sweat it. But whatever your positioning is, I want you to make sure it has a lot of room in it for you, and that you draw to you the type of customers that won't put you in the position that you could get your business canceled. So when you position yourself a particular way and you don't consistently show up in that way, you can certainly be canceled, because consumers will feel like they don't know you. And so now it's not just their friends and their family members and their spouses and their children that they want to feel like they know. They also want to feel like they know the businesses that they work with. So at your own leisure, you can talk about what your reaction is to the recent adoption of branding and TikTok videos and C-suite. It's a buzzword. Everyone loves branding. So let's see, I'm going to stop sharing. Hopefully you had a chance to go in and fill that out on your own. So we are slightly, 3 minutes ahead of schedule. So I'm going to just keep going because maybe there's someplace else where it will require more people will need to chime in, and there might be more feedback, there might be more to expand upon. So impressions roll call is what we're moving on to now. So again, I want you to leave this with something you can use for your businesses in your everyday. This isn't just for ceremony. This is really something you can use out in the world. So I want to talk for a second about neutrality and limited access. I touched on it when I was talking about personas. Many people think I need to be neutral. I need to come in as neutral. I need to be easy on the palate in order for all customers to love me and align with where I am. And I would certainly acknowledge and submit that you have the Coca-Colas and you have the these huge brands that appeal to all. The Walmarts and the Targets, they appeal to all. But they don't appeal to all by never making never staking their ground. They appeal to all individually. They appeal to all individual groups. Let's say, for example, Walmart. Walmart would be a great example. It's flexible enough that everyone goes to Walmart and feels like it's theirs. My Walmart. Okay. So you have people who have families. And so families would appeal to Walmart because they need better pricing, for example. They need more value-based pricing. You have teenagers and young people that go to Walmart because at one point they were open 24 hours a day. I think now they're just open until late at night. But you would see the teenagers in there kind of walking around, wandering around, making it their own. It's like they're at the mall, but except they're at Walmart. It also carries a lot of products that are sort of trendy. You'll see t-shirts and things that are trendy. So it's a safe space. It's well lit. It's huge. You can kind of go there and it be your own. And that's the thing about places, businesses that you can come in and sort of rest there. Starbucks, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target. You can go there and make it your own. Target has a less of a come hang out brand. Target has more of a come in and, get this quality and then sort of move on. Walmart has a very, leisurely, so many choices is a part of that. There's so many choices. You could spend 10 or 15 minutes in an aisle making a choice. So these are all very subtle decisions, but these are all things that people have done, businesses have done, decisions businesses have done to appeal to different groups distinctly. If they were just appealing to families, they wouldn't be open late because most family people are not open late. If they were just appealing to, gardeners, that's another audience that's big with them. If they were just appealing to gardeners, they wouldn't have all the other items in the store. It would certainly be garden 80, the rest of the store 20. But it's, the garden is large. It is a well-stocked garden, home and garden section, and still it doesn't overtake the rest of the store. It is still just a piece of their total revenue. So I hope that's a good illustration of how your brand and your approach, it isn't about being overbearing, and it's about you and your family and your story. It's about connecting to this greater whole and making each individual organization customer that you do business with feel at home there. You want them to make it their own. That's really the key. So limited access is another one where individuals in the company do not come forward and stand for themselves because they don't want to be personally identified. A brand is probably more conducive. It was previously the case that a brand is more responsive to a whole brand. We don't know who's behind the company. We don't know the owner. We don't know the president. And I'm saying we are moving to a time, and we have been for some time now, that we are concerned with who's running the company. What kind of people do you employ? What are your employees like? How do they deal with people? Do they do their job with pride? And these are the things that even if we don't realize it, we think about it. Because if there was a horrible story in the news about something that someone said, an owner of a business or toy or product that you endorse, you would look at that product in your home and say, does this belong here? Is this a part of me? I don't want to support this anymore. So you had plenty of people throwing out their Nike shoes after Colin Kirkpatrick. Colin, I'm sorry, I'm not going to butcher his name. I'm not going to do it twice. And if they felt like it didn't represent who they were, and so they got rid of the items. And that's how we are. We're very convicted about the items in our homes. And so it's interesting in this drop ship era where people are ordering things online and reselling it, and they don't know where it came from. They don't know who made it. And that is made possible to us very well in part because of Amazon and because of Alibaba. And that's not necessarily going anywhere because that's what's important to that customer: convenience, range of products. And so as long as you are convenient, easy to get to, in other words, I can get it tomorrow, and I have a range of products, you fulfilled your brand promise. You have fulfilled your brand promise. And so, you know, if you came out and really, Jeff Bezos has separated his own personal brand and who he is as an individual from Amazon. So if you have a problem with an Amazon product, you take it up with Amazon, or you take it up with the people who made the product. Now, Amazon may stock the item, and you can certainly put reviews on Amazon's website, but they aren't standing for or guaranteeing that product. So there's the separation there. And so that one move allows them to have the autonomy and freedom to be Amazon by themselves and not necessarily be endorsing a product. And then Jeff Bezos is way out there. You would never call him, you would never see him and say, yeah, I bought a light off of your website and it just stopped working. He would be like, what light? Okay, so I'm gonna move on. I hope that I did enough dive into neutrality and limited access, not really formulas or frameworks to move forward and grow with. You wanna have the access be open, and you don't wanna be neutral, like not hot or cold, like bland food. You want to be dynamic. Dynamic is where you wanna go because you wanna appeal to the individual groups in a very ordered and strategic, methodical way, minimizing your risk. So what are some impressions your customers, family, and friends have about you? So if you can chat with us, if you can send us emails, if you can just think about it on your own, what are some impressions that your family and friends have about you? And what I'd like to do is go in and look at, I'm going to look at page 9 and 10 of the workbook because we actually go into a piece about that. Okay. So let's look at, let's advance to the next page. Okay. This is here. So what are 3 adjectives you would use to describe your business? So let's just take Right Foot Creative since we're here. 3 adjectives I would use to describe my business is personalized or custom. Well, I would say boutique. What I mean by that is you can be flexible because as the owner of the business, as a startup, when you make a decision to change, the business changes. Not like a large organization, which I've worked for, that when you need to make a change, it's a big turn. Okay, so 3 adjectives. And then, okay, well these are adjectives you would use to describe yourself personally. So personally, I'm definitely loyal to family and friends. I'm loving, caring, and I am kind of, I would say I'm kind of bold, kind of jump out there and do things sometimes. All right, what is your role in your company? I run the company. I'm the CEO or the principal. And what is your story, your expertise, your commitment? I'm committed to it because I want to develop education curriculum for the neurodiverse community. And I'm committed to it because I'm a visual creature. Okay. Do you directly work with clients or customers? Yes, I do. All right, so let's go to the next page where it asks, what are 3 adjectives your clients would use to describe you personally? Well, that would be interesting. I would love to hear that from them. And actually, I've done a 360 evaluation before, so I know what they would say. They say I'm creative, they say I'm professional, and let's pick one that's more, I would think they would say that I'm direct. Okay. And what are 3 things you feel clients like or remember about your product or service? They remember how custom it is. People talk about that. They remember how creative and, so many ideas. And then they remember how they may remember professionalism, because I do go out of my way to try to provide professionalism and communicating with people when I'm going to be late and on a deadline, and which is not always, we don't do that as business owners, but it's important to sort of acknowledge that things happen and to address that with clients directly. So that's a model that I have. And then what are 2 things clients repeatedly complain about? Time to get honest. So 2 things clients may complain about. One might be that sometimes timelines get off. I'll just stick on that one note. Sometimes timelines just get off for one reason or another. And when those timelines are thrown off, well, I'll just say that. When those timelines are thrown off, what I'm trying to say is people are not always happy. It may not be, I'm going to say the word fault. It may not be my fault, but, which is horrible. Don't ever say that to clients. But it may just be other reasons. It may be incidental reasons. There could be a shift in timeline. Someone else could have left. But what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. So as a service provider, sometimes things get off timeline and off track, and you are running to try and get them back on track, especially in a creative space. So I don't know where we are on time, so I don't want to go too far. All right, so then you have also communication. Although I'm a great communicator, I'm an excellent communicator, there comes a time when I'm nose down in a project. And when I'm nose down in a project, I actually need someone else who's going to reach out to that client and say, do you have any questions? Do you have any thoughts? Do you want to stop this at this point? And so there are communication nuances that still need to be worked out when you are the person that is doing some of the design. Now, if it's a project that's large enough and I have designers working, I can definitely be the frontline communication. Those clients do not complain about communication. But when it is me, it's maybe a smaller project or it's something that I personally want to be involved with, because I do get personally involved in projects. I get passionate about clients' work, and the missions that they're after. And when you do that, you have to remember to kind of pull your head out of the sand or out of your workstation, really. I wish I could show you my workstation right now. It looks like a cockpit of a plane. You would, you want to reach out to people. So anyway, that answered the question. And I want you to answer it honestly. That's why I'm going so deep into it. What are 3 adjectives clients remember about your business's professionalism? So they'll say that I'm fast. They'll say that I'm, at the same time, they'll say my communication. Oh, you're a great communicator. You communicated back right away. So that's why I say that there is nuance. And then what else do they remember about my professionalism? Oh, that I have resources. Wow, where everything is, you can get anything done, and I have to say, I cannot get everything done. I do not know all the answers, right? So think about your current marketing, and that's a part of the branding. Just to take a brief, that's a part of the branding. Not to say, I know all the answers, I can do everything, I can get you everything that you need. Because eventually you are way off track of what your original vision is for your business and trying to do everything. I've got stories. I tried to open a tea house at one point. This was a business that I had in Baltimore City. And the tea house was going to work next to the ad agency and kind of bring in that flow of clients. And then clients after meetings could go in and mingle in the tea house. Beautiful vision, beautiful idea. And I eventually got so much sort of engagement and feedback about it. The idea started to veer into a stage and a performance space. And, you know, eventually I had to kind of like bring it back around into the tea house realm. And, you know, then you have a lot of different people interested for a lot of different reasons. And interest is good. But when you are trying to commit to one thing, tea house, not venue, not venue for parties, not venue for theater, you know, you might lose some of the buy-in. And that's why it's important from the beginning to stick to one buy-in. So that's my little story. So talk about your current marketing methods and what emotion does it conjure in viewers. So my current marketing materials, and excuse me 1 second, I'm getting some communication, so I want to make sure it's not one of the viewers that's listening on a different platform. So communication methods and what emotion does it conjure? So communication, big with the virtual Zoom and all of these, you know, Microsoft Teams and Skype. Does it conjure emotion in people? Not necessarily, but I'll tell you a story, and I learned this one very recently. I used free conference calls because I believe if there's a free resource out there, you get to try it out, test it out, see if you like it. And I've just had it for, I've had it for a couple of years. And so what happened was I had a client meeting. It was a larger project, and I needed to demonstrate my work. And what I did was, gave them the 800 of the free conference call line. Not that there's anything wrong with a free conference call. And when people started to dial in, it would say, hello, welcome to freeconferencecall.com. And so, which I heard, and I didn't think anything necessarily of it, but it wasn't until the actual call that people were beginning to call in. And instead of it, if you put the wrong code in, instead of it saying that's the incorrect code, and I don't think any of them really do that, it sent you to just listening to hold music. And the complaint was, I've been listening to hold music, it won't let me in, and you're not sure why. And immediately, question began to shine on the platform because most people don't really think too highly of free. I offered this orientation complimentary because I wanted people to not have a reason not to do it. But the truth is that when things are complimentary, you assume the value isn't there. And so as we build this up to be as robust and dynamic as it needs to be, it will be at a cost. But right now we are getting the bones and the foundation structure so that you can say, this content was helpful for me, this content was not helpful for me. And eventually it will be something that someone will pay for and you would have rode the wave from the beginning. So thanks for tuning in. Okay, so think about your current marketing materials. What information does it conjure in viewers? So again, and then, so that was tools and techniques and what emotion it conveys. But marketing materials, when I put marketing materials out, my most current marketing materials, I think help people feel inspired and like something is possible, empowered. And so that's what I'm going for. And we will know very soon because I like to poll my public and get feedback. We'll know very soon whether it's not working or not. And if you had to describe your typical client using 3 adjectives, what would they be? My typical client is driven, a visionary, and they are creatives in their own right. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I just wanted to go into that and let you see kind of what that was. So, and I think we are, oh, okay. So we're right at our time. So I wanted to show you UXpressia. So let me tell you a framework. I'm going to run through this kind of quick, so bear with me. The framework for digesting feedback of all kinds. Don't have it that you don't want to receive feedback. And that's what I was talking about. You poll your public, you find out what it is they're interested in, and then, or what it is they got out of working with you, what are their favorite parts of doing business with you. You do that work so that you can employ it. Many people feel I'm not going to open myself up to that level of scrutiny. And the reason why is because there's not an established framework for receiving feedback. I came up in the design realm. I went and got the master's in design, and you put what you just created out on stage and you let people kind of go to work on it, And when that's done, when that's said and done, what you have is you're more able to hear feedback. So the framework for feedback is this. You get the feedback in, you validate it. You might ask other people, do you feel this way? Or you look for validations within the data, because you sent it to 200 people, 30 people responded, and actually a lot of people rated you high in creativity, or a lot of people rated you high in flexibility. So you're validating the data. Things that are invalid, it's not, someone said it. So you want to put it there, you want to keep it there, but at the same time, you're looking for the validated, which rises to the top. So the validated feedback might be that when she's working hard on my project, she doesn't always, check in with me. And sometimes I have things I want to say, or I want to know what's going on and think of it. So that you take that piece of feedback and then you decide if you want to prioritize it or you want to send it to the parking lot. And that's an agile world. So prioritize it means I need to address this right now. Or parking lot means, you know what, this is important, this has been validated, and it's kind of in my pipeline of things to deal with. I'm gonna just set it there for one moment, I'm coming back to it. So that's your framework for feedback. So you don't have to cut off receiving feedback because you don't know what to do with it, or you can't do anything about that right now. You just have a framework for it. So, and we can use tools like Trello to do that. So, and then I just wanna show you Expressia really quickly. So I'm going to bring up Expressia, and I'm also going to show you Trello, and I'm going to, just because I want you to see what it is like to create a persona. Okay, so here we go. We're going to actually do a persona, so I'm going to add a project, and that project is going to be, I have this at work, and so that's not where there's any on here, but anyway, we're going to do a blank persona. See persona there? Blank persona, add. So the persona that we're going to do is Jessica Kingley. All right, and then you can add a photo if you want, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Or you can use UI faces, good, here. So let's put Jessica at 35. And then maybe my Jessica is at about 57. They want some, they're different persona at that point. So the ones that come to me between 35 and 57-ish, they are the visionaries, they're driven, and they're, go-getter, and they're in that mode. They're gonna do a lot right now. They're gonna beat the pavement, and that's a different persona for me than the clients that come to me in the older age group that are very settled and they want to do one deliberate thing and they want to do it well. And one is not valued over the other. We just need to recognize and approach it. So we're going to have her smiling because she's intense though. And then we're going to get brown here. So let's go ahead and pick. That. There you go. So you have Jessica. So Jessica's goals are she wants to launch her business. She wants to have a lot of customers, and she wants to, what else would Jessica's goals be? I'm thinking, she wants to build something that lasts. All right, so let's add her personality. Personality type here, she is, or let's just choose from what's there. Is she this will allow you to choose, is she rational? Is she more of an artisan? Is she a guardian? Is she more idealist? So we're going to say that she is somewhere between rational and artisan, but I'm going to pick rational. And there we have a type for her. So then the quotes. So one of her quotes might be, I see a lot of my competitors. But I'm not daunted. I know what I want to do. So as you see, this allows you to kind of build out a whole persona about this person. It helps you to, the reason why we do personas is not that this one person is going to represent every type of user you'll ever have, but what it is this persona is a snapshot into that persona, and you can give them names. Well, as you see here, you say, well, what's the benefit of giving them names? It's a segment of my total clientele. Well, the reason is because when you are presenting to your employees, when you are thinking about making a choice for Jessica, so these are your customers. When you're thinking about a choice specific for Jessica, you can call it by name, and it is the ultimate empathy. So empathy is a big buzzword that they're using in the industry, and it has always been. Hi, Ashley. She's connecting in now. Hi there. So just going through the personas, I have a couple of different streams going, so don't mind me. Jump in when you have questions and thoughts. I'm going through this tool called UXpressia. UXpressia allows you to create a persona for your customer types. It's a free account. You go in and you sort of just create. So maybe I'll create it. You just sort of create it. You pick a picture, you pick a name. And so the idea of personas, just in brief review, the idea of personas is not that this is one specific customer of yours, but that you have a group of customers that this type of customer represents. So we have her as the rational thinker. She launched her business. She has a lot of customers. Here's her goals. These are her goals here. Just to launch her business, have a lot of customers, and to build something that lasts. We have a quote from her, and we're kind of filling out some of the details. So the location, we'll say is, well, I'm kind of filling out the details. And whomever is watching, I'm not sure. Details, so location, let's put her in Maine, and then she might be married. She might be, her occupation might be, she's a business owner. So we're gonna put CEO, all right. You don't have to fill out everything, but this is to give you as much as a snapshot as possible of this person in their everyday lives. So let's say tech skill. This helps you to know if you're going to put out an application or you're going to communicate with people through an electronic environment, or what you want to know what the tech aptitude is. So you might say she has a higher tech aptitude, maybe middle of the road. Next might be, or next skill rather, might be in, let's just say, so it depends on your business, what that skill might be, what you might choose. But we might take a skill like actually, let's say content creation, right? And then she might not feel so confident about her content creation. So anyway, this is the snapshot of the brand. I want to stay on our little schedule guide. So this is sorts of things that you can fill out, and then even the type of technology. Well, she's a Mac, but she has an Android too. And these sort of things help you understand that client. And then I'm going to jump to Trello. That's the other thing I wanted to show. Trello, which you've seen before, but here's a way to use it. So let's do an example board. And then, so the example board might be Jessica's, and it just kind of gave us any background because it didn't change anything. So we're doing the persona, we're doing the journey map. So it might be pipeline. All right, so that's before they came into your business. They might be sales. They might be one of your so current sales lists, you know, for lack of a better term. Those are people who you might be going to approach or court for sales. Then you have, once she is a client, she's a new client. And then you might have that project started, and then that will just say project concluded. And then we're going to say aftercare. Right? So let's say those are the sections that we want to. Oops. Yeah, if you click off of it, that takes it away. So then I'm going to go back over here and create a card for Jessica. That's our persona that we just made. I'm going to take let's see, we'll pick another one too. So Jessica right now is, maybe she's a current sale lead. That's what I mean to say, lead. All right, and then Bill might actually be his project has already started, but Kevin's in the pipeline, because Kevin, you need to approach him a certain way, and you want to finish some projects before you come back to Kevin because his project is larger. So you can use Trello to sort of move these people back and forth. You know, maybe you're reporting Kevin, and then Kevin said, try me again in 6 months, and you put him back in the pipeline. Is there a question? Thought I heard something, let me know. Chat over here. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay. So I just wanted to show you the different sort of pipelines and ways that someone can come in and you can navigate through. So that's the piece about impressions, the impressions roll call. I'm going to send, actually, I know that you're right here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and send you the brand story so that you can follow along. It's the brand story book that I'll be referencing in here, and I want to make sure you have it.
Okay.
So you came just in time. We're moving to the part about the bones of your brand story. Brand story as a framework. So storytelling as a framework. So people hear people talk about storytelling all the time. Yeah, okay, storytelling. You know, what's so big about it? And what it is that when you create a story, you're giving people context and a way to receive your company and your businesses and yourself as an individual. So earlier I kind of went through how you have, let's take Amazon. Amazon has created something that Amazon doesn't stand behind any one product. Their selling points are their convenience and their variety. And so you won't ever go back to their story is that they're bringing things from all over. Alibaba, their story is they're bringing things from all over to customers, and it's convenient. You can get it relatively fast. And that's the story that they're telling. They're not telling the story that, you know, we stand behind this product in this quality. So how you pick that story will set you up so that you're never in the case that people divorce from your brand or from your company because of, you know, it doesn't mesh with them. Remember when everyone was throwing out their Nike shoes because they were upset? Because people have that sort of visceral reaction. We have relationships with our products and our things in our home. We have relationships with them. And so when there is something different about this brand that's come up, or, you know, I think when Gap changed their logo, people were upset. When these things happen, you have the opportunity to lose customers. And if you pick the correct framework and the correct story, you know, the correct angle to come from with your business, you're able to really escape that a little bit, because then it's not about, you know, we want you to be happy with our logo. I think Gap at the time had a very neutral brand. I'm not sure that they actually even recovered from that, but they had a very neutral brand. You can get to neutral eventually, and that's something that's talked about. You can get to neutral eventually, but you get to neutral through talking to your distinct customer groups individually. You focus in on who your customers are as these personas or these groups. And then you scale out to, okay, how can I make them all feel at home? As opposed to you come in the store or you come into the business and you don't have anything really to hold on to or grip onto in terms of texture and strong points. It all kind of hits me like, okay, it's all like warm, right? It's okay to have this distinction in your brand. You want to make sure that you do it in a way so that everyone can make it their own. So I'm going to bring up the workbook again so that we can go through this choose your method, because there are 3 methods that I've outlined for you to be able to identify how you want to create your story. So I'm going to share my screen again. And okay, so we'll start with, okay, your brand story is not a novelty story. So you say, okay, I'm writing a story. What can I do with that? Like I need to immediately be able to put it to work. And what this activity will do is reinforce. So think about reinforcing the structure. It's like that cleaning or those tasks that you do that don't immediately show up from the outside, but you have reinforced the foundation. And that's what this brand story does. It reinforces your foundation. So the 3 methods. One is the storytelling method. So there's this Greek idea or mode of persuasion. That's essentially what we're doing out here doing business. You know, we are putting our products out there on the market, but we are persuading on a level. So there's ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos refers to credibility and ethics. Pathos is you appealing to emotion and feelings. And logos is about logic and reasoning. And businesses position themselves in those 3 ways sometimes to you. This one is more, you would pick the ethos, pathos, logos method of storytelling if you want to come from different angles and sort of approach clients from different angles. So you might have a mix where your marketing materials, your branding, your approach is more logic and reason based. And then you can take a chance and do something that is emotional. But you wouldn't want to have 100% emotional and no logic, just like you wouldn't want to have 100%, you know, reasoning and not, or I'm sorry, credibility or ethics, which is, that's a good one to have a big number of, credibility and ethics, because then people have loyalty to your brand because they see that integrity is there. But at the same time, what will make them make the decision? Usually it's the emotional, the pathos. So there's a mix that you want to have. And if you want to do the work of like answering these questions to decide which, you know, if you once you put the answers in, you sort of can figure out, well, I want more of this and a little bit less of this. But these are the 3 ways that you can approach telling the story of your business. So that's storytelling method 1. Ashley, since you're on here with me now, we can pick whichever one you want to pick to go through. Storytelling method 2 is the hero's journey. Hero's journey, you may have heard of it before. It is this, I've been through a large journey and I came out of it with a transformation or some sort of revelation. It's usually something happened and now I'm doing this thing as a result. You don't always have that I'm actually in the journey. The next one we're going to, Freytag's Pyramid, is the one that I'm actually in this journey leading to a climax. This one is about, I've already gone through this challenge. There was something that called me to it, maybe some supernatural aid or help came from somewhere. I had this amazing story that happened to me and I came out of it, decided I need to write a book or I need to help the children. And whatever, you know, that transformational pieces that happened, you want to be able to pick bits and pieces out of it in order to construct this brand story. And you hear people now talking about, I used to be homeless. And, you know, at first you wonder, okay, they're saying that, I think I froze. They'll say it, you know, they'll start out, they start out their conversation. Okay, well, we started this business. And when it's interpersonal, it's almost like, you know, wow, they're a bit, it's a little bit awkward. It's like, wow, they're a little bit too candid. But the truth is that they are probably working on their brand story, because when you walk into a business and you see that, well, the owners of this company had experienced homelessness, or there's a restaurant in downtown Baltimore where it's like, this used to be a row home that they, you know, renovated, and you have the stories and everything. Just that small piece allows you to have loyalty to this business because there's something real there for you to connect to behind the brand or the product or service that they're bringing. Okay, and then the third one is Freytag's Pyramid. And this one is literally based on, I'm not sure if you can see that, it's based on, there's this incident that happened, there's a rising action, so there's something building here. And I'm either headed to a climax or I've hit this climax and then now things are sort of settling back down. The reason why this one is distinct is because it's almost like you're still in this journey. You're still either getting towards that climax, you can feel the build, and it's a framework for storytelling because you can actually feel the energetic in this person, you know, this company or this business is getting towards this plummet. You'll hear about companies talk about riding the curve or riding the wave, and that's sort of what they're getting at. That's this Freytag's Pyramid method of storytelling. So do you want to pick one to kind of go through, Ashley, to, you know, not to put you on the spot, but to kind of choose a storytelling method that speaks to you more?
Well, I've got my husband here with me since he's involved in business too. I'm thinking like method one, he's saying method two.
Okay. Okay. Well, maybe we'll go fast. Maybe we'll get a little bit of two in there also. Here's Journey as a friend.
I mean, I think three might be a decent compromise because I don't know that we've completed the journey. So.
Okay. All right. And you have it there so you can go through. We can just think about credibility, ethics, emotion, and logic as we go through it. So if you want to do three, we can do three. You know, we have fun when we have choices, right?
Right. You know, I'm not good with choices.
So what started you on your journey? What started you both on your journey? Was it something inside or outside of your control?
It was outside, combination.
Okay. You want to?
Well, I had quit my job as a teacher and was bored. So that was inside my control. Outside of my control is that I had my father had started a company and he had done something incorrect, probably illegal, and he dumped it on my doorstep, literally. Here you go. You have this business now.
All right. I put it in my words, but.
No, that's good. That's a very correct, you know.
Okay. So it was in your hands to deal with it. Okay. And then from your own perspective, what is or will be the climax of this story? Have you thought about that?
What are you saying? You're not.
I'm saying yes. It's the growth of the company and the brand that we want it to be the best environmental company out there.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's it. Is the growth, and like this whole rebirth of the company, because we did it so quickly and we made a lot of mistakes when we brought it over. So I think the climax, is like this fresh start.
Okay.
How we new corporate structure, new corporate identity,
and I heard
and new growth.
And new growth. And I do like this piece about being the best environmental company. I heard that, and I want to make sure that I keep that in there because there's something about that that's tenacious. Like there's something about that that gets you excited. And when you hear people talk about, well, I'm going to be the best this and I'm going to conquer this, you want to help them. There's an instinct to help them. It's like a reason to buy. I needed a reason to buy this thing. Now I have it, right? Because I want to help other people achieve their goals. And we don't always acknowledge that, but that's there. How can you find similarity with customers that build excitement? So I kind of touched on it, but from your perspective and your thought, both of you really, what is it that you can, what's a way that you can position yourself so that you can build excitement in customers about your story or about your business?
I think we need to connect with them more on a personal level, meet with them. And I think we need to have a diversity of areas and types of projects.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. So let's dig into it a little bit, because maybe it's a big step from 2 to 3 as we go through it. So you definitely said it, meeting with them and touching them on talking to them on a personal level. And so how can, just things to think about, how can that interaction be about this diversity of projects? How can you, because people may not know the diversity of projects that you have already or that you have in your vision. So let's say the top of, let's go to this pyramid, and the climax is best environmental company out there. And this rising action is the fresh start and the new structure and the identity, the new growth. So these are like, if they were steps, it would be perfect, because these are like the steps to get you there. So the question would be, how can you get people to see the vision for where you're going through these steps? You know, you're telling them, maybe they see that some things are happening, but they don't know where it's going. So how can you bring them along? Sometimes social media has brought everyone to our like living rooms and doorsteps. So it's kind of a go-to, but are there any other ideas on how to connect with them on a personal level?
I think in our businesses, because it's a bunch of men that are in construction, they're not as tech savvy. It's the glad handing. It's you're in their face. You're talking to them, and then you're just dropping these. Hey, you know what? If you're in this project and you're pulling all your labor off of this job, we can come in here and finish this up and just clean it out for you, so you can move to the next project.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember.
We can be the one that you can lean on, so you can move forward. We'll come in. We'll take care of the little details that's on your punch list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're a solution company.
We are a solution company.
Hey, that's a good one. Like you finally got it.
Love it. I'm gonna put it in all caps. So you said something there about the interpersonal communication and that you can solve it. So they're already inclined to listen, because you're saying, listen, I can make life easier for you. Because people are often thinking, well, what's going to be in it for me? How's it going to help me? So you've told them how you're going to help them. I'm going to solve this for you. And just that added piece of, we're going to be the best environmental company out there. It may not be a piece of paper, it may not be anything, but the thing to think about is, how can, as we build this story, how can it be that you're leading them towards helping you get there? It's great what you do. I love that you chose environmental company, because a construction person isn't thinking necessarily about environmental. Or I'm making an assumption, but is that true? Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask the both of you.
Yeah, I think that's true. A construction company, they're just thinking what they're supposed to do to get from A to B according to the contract. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And get paid. That's all they're trying to do, is get to the next one.
So you're assisting them in two ways. You're solving for them.
Maybe when they don't even know they have a problem. We're seeing their problems and telling them we can fix them. We're pointing out the potholes. Oh, the audio just went out.
The audio went out? Oops.
Oh, there you go. Now you're back.
I think I lost my screen, so give me a second. Are you still seeing my screen or no?
No, I'm seeing you.
Okay. I'm bringing it back up. Give me a second. Okay.
Yeah, you can't see me today. I'm a mess, so.
It's fine.
We're going to keep the camera off.
Hey, we're getting to
there we go.
it's like You can have your slippers on, it doesn't even matter. People are like, hey, we're here to do business. Like, okay. So I wanted to capture that, what you said. So you're solving for them in two ways. We'll finish it. And two, we're environmental. So you sort of check off that box for them. We're going to be concerned about the environment, even if you wouldn't say this to them, but we're going to be concerned about the environment so you don't have to. Is that a part of the conversation?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So let's go to the next question so that it'll start to get more clear when we get to the next piece. So then what is your resolve? What are you very sure about that you provide as value to your clients? And we've touched on it, so.
Reliability.
Okay.
Quality.
And solutions.
Very good place to stand on. I was saying that some people can't promise quality because they're reselling products from the internet. So, we get to provide quality, which is a great standard point. So we just went through that exercise to kind of establish who you are. If we wanted to look at it, so the logic in it is that we'll finish the job for you. Anybody would, if you're going to finish the job for them, they get to save money, they get to take their their crew elsewhere. So it makes logical sense. And you're coming from a standpoint that we make logical sense. Then the emotional, I think, is the environmental piece. Also being reliable feels like it touches on the emotional piece. And then definitely the ethics is the quality. And I think also, again, the environmental. So you can apply that first framework to this a little bit here. Yeah.
Yeah, the trust part, they can.
And the warranties on all of our work, we warranty all of our work. So that's a huge thing because there's a lot of companies that once they install the trees, if something happens, they don't want to go back. They won't fix the problem. We do it every time without an argue.
Yeah.
That's big. How many stories do people have about?
Yeah, we follow through.
We follow through. Okay. Great. Okay, we're gonna bring it into a story. So we're gonna look back at the details of that story and the common thread about who you are and who your company is. What I'm hearing is that you stand up to challenges. You don't shrink back or hide from the challenge, even with the way the business was given to you, or how you landed in it, someone else's snafu, right? You stood up to it. You had a choice, quite as it's kept, but you stood up to the challenge. And this piece that you were a teacher and you're like, you know what, this is not exciting me anymore, which is absolutely valid. And you're lucky that you did it before burnout, because some teachers get burned out trying to make work what isn't working for them personally, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think the fact that you did that says you demand more. So what comes out to me is you demand more and you stand out to challenges. And when you tell me all of these things about how you show up for your clients, it follows for me. So that would be the consistent for me. Do you all hear any other consistent threads throughout the story?
No, I think you nailed it.
All right. And as they come up, I'm helping to fill this out, but spend time with this and more stuff will come unpacked. So this, again, to help us incorporate the experiences that you didn't initiate, because some of it you didn't, some of it you did, but maybe you didn't know it was going to land in the business. But it should make a statement about you or about your business. So in this case, we're taking it from the angle of the business. But is there a desire to keep to have you stand for your business? Do you two want to be the brand of your business, or do you want the business to sort of stand and have its own brand separate from you?
I think the business for longevity should stand separate. I mean, when you think about Chick-fil-A, it stands on its own. I mean, but the original, True Kathy's value system and beliefs kind of started, are an underlying framework, but it's not him. Right? Am I following?
No,
Yes.
they blast his name all over Chick-fil-A.
What was that? I missed that.
I believe that you can't go into a Chick-fil-A without seeing their story on their wall.
Mhm.
And for years, McDonald's would have Ray Kroc on the wall in the bronze chest in every McDonald's. So it was
Yeah, but I think, but that's not the brand. The brand isn't the Ray Kroc brand. It just tells a story. The brand is, for all of them, fast food. That's the brand.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. So McDonald's is an interesting one because I don't know if you all watched the McDonald's movie. It was very interesting. And
Haven't yet. It's on the list.
it's good. It's a good one. So he had this vision for them that where you go to get one product, because they had like these brothers, they had 3 locations, I think, and his was about consistency. He wanted it to be, Ray Kroc came and said, everywhere you go to get a McDonald's burger, it should be the same. So his was about consistency. And I'd heard long ago that their bathrooms were always clean. So that also kept people coming back. And
That's
so
true.
no matter where the brand went, that was what was true, was that they wanted there to be consistency, and then it was a clean environment for people to come in. People come with their families, people come in the middle of their workday. You could be coming from a work meeting. McDonald's is a clean place. It's not, the greasy spoon. So I think that when we talk about the difference between a brand and a brand story, the story is sort of the seed. It's like the details in there that this brand grows from. But your actual brand, you want it to be this expansive, you want everyone to go there and make it your own. It's been saying from the beginning, like you want everyone goes to McDonald's and they make it their own. If they're there for the Wi-Fi, they're there for a burger, they're waiting for the bus, whatever it is, it's their own universe. They feel like that's my McDonald's. And so how can that piece about, we want consistency in our burgers, or we want, we started from these 3 brothers. People aren't thinking about that when they're coming in for a burger or to use the Wi-Fi. But what they do know is that it's going to be the same everywhere I go. I could have never been in that McDonald's, but I know that I'm going to get the same thing everywhere I go. So what we want to get is that seed, that piece that you stand up to challenges and you demand more. And I also want to say, with that, you stand up to challenges. It's like, I finish things, right? We finish things.
Mhm.
And then, so this may not be about multiple locations and things like that, but every job you do, you are holding that quality standard. You are demanding more, and you finish things. So everyone may not get to hear the story. It's good for you. And like when you bring employees in and you tell them, you'll get more and more, you'll get so good at telling this story of what happened with your dad, and you will choose what level of detail you want to give in that. But I think the fact that it sort of landed in your hands because of someone else's mishap, mistake, whatever it was, and you stood up to the challenge is essential to your story. You want to keep that in there, because then people know, yeah, when I come work for you or when I do business with you, I'm a part of someone that's brave and stands up to challenges. It comes through in everything. It will eventually come through in everything you do when you instill your employees and things with it. So I said a lot. Does that make sense?
It does. It's interesting because I've always hidden the story of how we got into business. I've always been uncomfortable with it. It was such an ugly period of time, and quite frankly, I lost my family over it. Like I don't have any relationships with any of my families. There were lies told. It was lawyers. It just got really ugly. So I've always been like embarrassed. And then, you know, in the environmental industry, everybody is so like crunchy granola greenie, and, you know, they all have their plant backgrounds and training, and and I come in debunking the myth, like you can just be a person without an education in that area and still be successful, and they get offended.
Well, and people do sometimes, right? Because they don't know what's behind it. If they knew what you've been through, they would. But what is more tenacious? What is more environmental than a seed that has sprouted? You know, a seed that's growing up through concrete or growing up through rough terrain. It fell on stony ground, and here it is sprouting. Nothing. You want to support and protect that. So if anything, you want to position yourself as this persistent sprout, right? I'm all on the green sprouty, so make it your own. But you want to position yourself as this this new fresh thing in the industry, right? Like, as you said, you don't have to have those credentials, but when people have those credentials, they feel like, oh, well, you don't value it. You value it, and you are bringing a unique piece. You're bringing this tenacious, sprouted seed energy. And you're bringing this, this is your family. This business is I don't want to say this business is your family, but especially as you hire people, this thought, and this is just maybe something you two know and no one else knows, that you're building this business. This is, I don't want to say that this is your family, but I'm trying to say that when you say you lost your family, but in the end you have this business left, it is almost filling that space in some ways. And I want to, I'm not going to turn into a therapy session, which
No, I'm not trying to go. No, we're well past that, but
okay. But family, right? The business model as family is where I'm going with it. So when people come to the business, you've joined the family. Thanks for joining the family, and welcome to the family, and that sort of feel might be something that fits.
Yeah, we do try to treat our employees like that. We, 3 Sons of Miserable Job kind of thing, where like get to know them, their wives, their kids, their, husbands.
Okay, so family too is just like family is important as a tenet of your business. And then this seed that fell on stony ground, I think there's something there. You might even tell the story from that perspective, because when you have a tough story, first of all, the more you tell it, the less it, you'll be able to tell it in a very sterile way, but you will choose which details to put in. But if you tell it as, we started out as this seed that fell on stony ground, and eventually we grew roots and we're this beautiful tree. You see how you can pick where you want to put the actual details in there. And by keeping it this sort of storybook tale of the stony seed. That's just an example. So, but that's where we're going when we talk about a story. This is, I have to check and see where we are on time, but this is like, who is your customer? Okay, we have about 30 minutes left, 15 minutes left. Who is your customer is a piece that you want to go off and do on your own and talk through. And then how do you impact your customers? Well, you finish things for them. We talked about this. You finish things for them, and you are the integrity standard, the quality standard. Any other way that you feel you impact your customers sort of directly?
No, I think that's probably good right there.
Start. Okay. All right. And so what essentially you do once you fill this out, you would take all 3 pieces together and put them in this space, and look for a way that, in 4 sentences, maybe 5 sentences, that you can tell the heart of this business, and people will connect with the heart of it. So I think about your husband talking about how he's been out there kind of being the face of the business to try and say, we will finish things for you. And so what you want to build in is, how can that message be out there without you having to say it? The logo does a great job of being a warm welcome, but there may be more that's needed. And so you know, and now it's good that we're talking about this, because as we talk forward, it's like, how can we keep that message of make us a part of your family? You know, bring us, you know, help us to, we are persistent, you know, because of how we came about, how we arrived in this business, and let us be that persistent for you to get your job finished, you know? So again, just the language that you use, so that you're always reinforcing that story. And again, you determine how much of that story you want to tell, but you two know what is really at the seed empowering this thing, as opposed to, like you said before. Okay,
We're here.
there you go. I don't know what to say. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my my agenda, because we got a few minutes left, and I want to give you everything I said I was going to give you. Okay, so implementing your brand story. Once you have it written and the way that you want it to be, you want to think about how you can use it in your business plan, how you can focus on that. If it's not that particular client that we did from the personas, it might be how you focus on angling towards the individual who you might be talking to. So let's say that you are courting a marketing, or not a marketing, but the contracting officer. Contracting officers don't have a lot of personality, but if you tell this story of you show up and you finish things however you create it, but that's at the seed of it. You show up, you stand up to things, and you finish things with quality. Then you're able to focus on that in your pitch. And that's a universal. That's a universal, because there's not anyone who hasn't gone through anything. So it's a way to like focus your pitches and focus your angling when you're talking to people, and we can unpack that more. And then with the personas, we have that 80-20 rule that we can apply, so that if you know 80% of your business is coming from these two personas, even though you created 5, you have 5 different types of clients, especially because you're going for diversity jobs, you might have 5, 7 different clients. And I encourage you to go in and create a persona for each one. But you know that 80% of your business is coming from just these 2 client types. And that'll really help you to focus and reinforce them the most, so that they can spread your name. They can spread your name. You're focusing on the ones that are bringing in the most business for you. And then just to talk a second about how when you are dealing with your employees and when you are dealing with how you can extend that message to your employees and to your clients that are in aftercare after you have worked with them. It's a work in progress. You know, I'm not even there where I'm doing it 100% of the time. The goal though is to make that brand story so consistent with how you operate that it comes through on the CX level. CX is customer experience. So it's after they've dealt with you or when they're still gearing up to work with you, it's so essential. You know, they get a feel for who you are. They know that integrity is there. So they know, you know, her word, she is her word. He is his word. When they give their word, they're going to show up. When you put them on the job, it will finish. And that travels faster than you ever can. And then in your marketing or in your usability. So we'll apply this when we work on your website, where we want to have some seed of that message in there that we are tenacious. Maybe it's a video of the coming and going, and you know, and it's kind of sped up, and you're saying, and there's a messaging there about how you show up. We know what it means to persist. We know what it means to show up when you have the option not to. Let us show up for your business. You know, and that could just be a voiceover over a stock video. And that goes so far to say what your positioning is. I like that. I think I want to write that down just in case. All right, and then the next thing you want to do is I have it take a hike with your brand. So you want to actually take it out on the road and take it for a spin. Again, you don't have to give that whole personal story, But I do encourage you to take the pieces of it that are the most pivotal. And even if you have to kind of water it down a little bit, make it something that someone would have a strong reaction to, that they will feel closer to you at the end of the conversation, or at the end of seeing your marketing piece, or at the end of watching a video. I don't know if you all are talking about putting out content, but you want to take it for a spin, and then get a little bit of feedback from your customers. So you have these things like SurveyMonkey and Microsoft Forms and Google Forms. Google Forms allows you to send surveys out to your customers. Very easy. I can walk you through how to set it up. That's not a big deal. And you want to have them answer some questions about their experience dealing with you. And while the way you word the questions will be kind of underlying that brand story, because we're just beginning to kind of apply it. But make sure that you have this survey so that you can get the feedback. Do you already survey your past clients?
No.
Okay. So it's something to, and we can talk about how to implement it, because if they're not used to being surveyed, sometimes it's a bit of a road to get them to please know, yes, I do want you to respond and I want you to be honest. But once they know that that's there and that's coming, then they can give you very key pieces. I talked about this and just want to jump back to it, that there's a framework for receiving feedback. So a lot of times on the projects that I'm on, there's like, don't give me feedback I can't do anything about right now. It's a whole attitude, like a whole group of people will decide we don't want feedback, thanks. And so, but if you have a framework for receiving the feedback, you don't have to hold the feedback off. So the feedback comes in, you validate it, and you're sometimes looking to validate it even amongst the feedback that you got from other surveys. But you might ask people, a client you might be closer to, and so validate it first. If it's invalid, you don't throw it out, but you kind of put it on the side until you can focus on it, which, more people giving you that response says that that is a prioritized piece of feedback, or finding, we call it. So it rises to the top. So we're going to focus on the prioritized findings, the prioritized feedback. And then you're going to either parking lot it, or put it in the pipeline, or you're going to say, no, I need to address this right now. So then, when you get feedback, it's a good thing. You just put it in the little engine and it decides when we're going to deal with it. And then changing your delivery, not the story. So you might get feedback that people are like, I don't know, you may feel that, well, I don't know if people resonated with the story, or, maybe they didn't get it, or when I said it, a few faces were confused. You're talking to a group of people and, maybe you just got straight face, no response at all. That doesn't mean you change the story, because the story is a real story based on something real. But it could mean that you change your delivery. You change your delivery method. Maybe you get more into the details. Maybe you change, maybe you, actually tell it quicker, maybe you don't tell it verbally, but you give them a card or an email that just says, we're so glad to, that you're considering us. It could be just an email. We're so glad that you're considering us. We, whatever your lines are, I've been using the we show up and we finish things. And we want to be a part of your family, right? So whatever that is, you change your delivery, not the story. Okay, so then the next is your move. So I want to ask you, did you get anything out of this talk in this time?
Yes, a lot.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I thought I had some people streaming in from like this other app, but I don't have any questions. And I think at one point I lost connection. So I don't know what happened.
Sorry.
No, I mean technology, but I'm recording.
I'm presentation hog.
What'd you say? What did you say?
I said I'm a presentation hog.
No, it's fine. You're here on the Zoom with me. So that's why I'm like, yes, let's focus here. Right. And I know your story. So I'm recording it. And so are you okay with, I should have asked, when I first let you in, but I forgot to remind you. Are you okay that I recorded this?
Yes.
All right, great. And so what we offer, me and my managing partner that I've brought on to help me do better about places where I need work from feedback that I've gotten. I want you to, if you can, write out a short script. It can be 3 sentences, and shoot it to me. And what he'll do is read it. He has a broadcasting background. And so he will read the script so that it can be a part of audio. I can put a little music behind it. It can be a part of audio that you add to a video. It can be something we use for the website. But the goal is to try and get that story to a place where it's like down to about 3 sentences. And again, you may not be telling the whole story. You may just be saying, this is what we stand for. This is what we can do for you. Let's work together. But about 3 sentences, and he'll do a professional recording. I'll put some music behind it. So then you'll have a piece of media that comes from this. And I want to let you know that I'm working on, I'm going to do this a few more times. So if it was helpful to you, please tell a friend, feel free to come back and we do it again and again. But when it is as tight as it needs to be in terms of providing the feedback that people need from where they are, and not boring, right? Because, it should be interesting. I'm putting together a course that will go more into the details of creating the personas. It goes more into the details of, how to niche down, or should I keep it broad? It will do a capability statement and the SWOT analysis. We do the personality, the Myers-Briggs personality test. So again, to further reinforce the brand, and you'll come out of it with what they call KPIs, key performance indicators, if you don't already have some, measuring sticks to help you see, is my branding working? Is my method working? Maybe it's just a method for how you get clients in. So are these things working? And we sort of create the measuring sticks for it. And then we'll go through monetization and revenue models that are based on the type of business that you are. So it should be a nice, robust course that helps people get the key and the key things that they need to take their businesses to the next level, but through the framework of branding as just like an essential part of the business. So I'll keep you posted. And any questions or anything from me, any parts of this you want to pull out or feedback?
Yeah, not right now, but I think you've given us some good homework.
Oh, good. You got my email?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes. So we're going to read through that and work on our 3-sentence story.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. You did the hard part, so now enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.